Hey there, how are you today? I really hadn't planned on going live today, but I really feel that this is so important for caregivers to know and to understand. Maybe a little bit shocking also. And if you hear some snoring, it's because Lulu is right behind me in this chair and she's taking up the whole space behind me. So I promise I don't have a bellyache. That's just Lulu snoring away. So I don't know if you have watched the previous videos that I've done talking about Sarah and her family. Sarah is a lady that I met on a plane and we were talking about, what we do and who we are as people. And she was talking to me about her loved one who she started to notice some changes in. So Sarah and I started working together and I helped her to recognize some of the signs and symptoms in her dad, who she noticed had recently been changing. Come to find out, her mom had been actually covering up for her father for a few years, his deficiencies, his memory losses, his inability to balance the checkbook. He'd gotten lost a couple of times, and Sarah's mom didn't want to bother anybody. So she'd kind of been hiding it and covering it up. That's really super common. But if you missed those videos, please make sure to watch those videos. I can even put them in the link below. And if you haven't downloaded the signs and symptoms of early onset dementia, you can do that. I will also put that in the link. So anyway, I was talking to Sarah today and I actually got to meet her dad. Just prior to meeting with her dad and meeting with her mom, Sarah was telling me he's taken a huge decline. His memory is horrible. He's aggressive. He's grumpy. He's angry. And it happened rather quickly. And she went to the doctor, like I suggested. They ruled out a urinary tract infection. They ruled out organic causes. And Sarah wanted me to assess and see what might be the issue or what might be the problem. So when we got into our Zoom meeting, Sarah's dad was on point. Every question that I asked him, he answered correctly. And I could see it in her face. I could see it in her mom's face. They both were just shocked and slightly astounded that Mr. Smith was on point. So I was kind of smirking to myself because this really happens a lot. You might take your loved one to the doctor and you might have this laundry list of things that you've noticed or that are happening and that are going on, and you present that to the doctor discreetly, I hope. You don't want to embarrass your loved one. But you present that to the doctor and you're telling them how things are going and where things might be getting bad. But then all of the sudden, your loved one, the person that you're caring for, pulls off with this day where they are on point. Everything that they answer is correct. The date, the time, the year, who's the president, what did you have for breakfast? Where yesterday they couldn't do that, or the day before they couldn't do that, or the day before they were living in 1972. This is really common. A lot of people, including Sarah and her mother, are very stage oriented, right? Because dementia, as we learn it or as we Google, tells us that there's 7 stages. And in that beginning stage, you don't notice a whole lot. There might be just some minor little changes in your person. Got some news here. I really don't believe in stages and how we treat our person. I see dementia more like a river. There is an analogy, there's a story, there's something where if you stand in a river, you're never going to stand in the same spot twice because the river is flowing. And so technically your feet will be planted in the ground, but the river is going, so you'll never be in the same spot twice. I really feel that that is true with persons with dementia. You can wake up in the morning having a good day, having things going beautifully, and then all of the sudden, the whole day goes to heck in a handbag. They were kind, they were pleasant, they were, having a good day and on point, but then all of a sudden something flips and they become aggressive or aggravated. You can't redirect them, or maybe it's something simply as they become extremely repetitive. Um, we have to be in a position where we can be fluid, where we can go with them. We're on this journey together as caregivers. So we need to meet our person where they're at. We need to, if they're having a good morning, let's have a good morning with them. Let's find the joy in the morning with them. If they're having a bad day, then we need to find things that are going to work for them. And what worked yesterday might not work today. And that's okay. Don't get frustrated. Just make sure to write down and document what happened and what worked the day before, because it might not work tomorrow, but it might work again 3 days from now. And you can always approach or reapproach your person within 10 or 15 minutes with that same approach, and it might work. If somebody is being extremely repetitive, you might offer them, a written piece of paper with what's happening, or you might use a visual cue such as a whiteboard that you can put up and say dinner is at 7 or we go to bed at 8, so that they stop asking. There's lots of different things that we can do, but you need to give yourself some grace and some permission to try different things. Dementia isn't necessarily, in my opinion, stageable as much as it is fluid, and fluid from day to day. And we need to step back and give ourselves a break. If you're in my caregiving community, if you're somebody that I consult with in my medical practice, or if you're somebody that I'm working with privately, it is okay for you to be frustrated if something doesn't work today, but it worked yesterday. You just have to document those things so that you know when it's appropriate to use those. Allow yourself some grace. What works today might not work tomorrow, and that's definitely okay. You can throw away the old belief that we have all of these stages and that our person is going to progress through each stage of dementia until the end, because it doesn't happen that way for everybody. You can go into a caregiver group, you can talk about your person's signs and symptoms, you can tell them exactly everything that's happening in your day, and somebody can chime in and say, that happened with my mom and they put her on blank medication, or that happened with my mom and I had to take her to the ER and she had a urinary tract infection. It's really great to listen to, to have that fellowship, to listen to other people. But what works for them isn't going to work for your person, because we're unique individuals. What works for me is probably not going to work for you. It's great to hear all the advice and some different techniques that might work for somebody, but those might not work for you. Remember, your person has a history. Your person was somebody before this awful disease came into their brain and started taking away their recent memories. Your person was a person who had their own mind, their own thoughts, their own ideas, and their own way of being. Now, dementia may change that. They could be really super stubborn in their past life, but now they're amicable, fun-loving, and joking. But what technique you use that somebody has told you about might not work with your person. Give yourself some grace. Give yourself some permission to breathe, be frustrated, be angry, but don't ever feel alone, because you have support. You have people who are out there. I'm here. If you have a question, please drop it in the comments below and I'll try and hit on it next week. I really hope that as we're starting this new year, 2024, that you allow yourself some grace. throw away some of those old beliefs, throw away some of those old stigmas, and realize that, what we thought once maybe isn't so much true nowadays. Maybe dementia doesn't go in these stages. Maybe dementia is more of a fluid process, one that we have to work with, not in or on, and working with our person. Again, if you have any questions, if you have any concerns, drop them below. I'll try and peek back at those later today. I hope that you have a wonderful weekend, and I will see you on Monday. Take care.